I love Welcome Home. Welcome Home has been in my brain nonstop, rent-free for the past 2.5 years. Clown and everyone working on this project, chef's kiss. I freaking love this series. It's so unique and it's put so much love, and they do a really good job at replicating the times that the show would take place in, and also replicating the website itself in the sense of like, oh yeah, it feels like a very 2000s website, and I love it. Bear with me. This video is going to be very, I guess, janky, because I am not going off the script. I'm going off of the web of ideas that's in my mind. Which, me personally, I love writing, but writing scripts and reading off them. When I read off them, I sound mechanical, so I'm not going to be doing that. So anyways, let's dive into this. Oh yeah, and another thing, this is more of like ideas or analysis and just not really theories, because it's like there's not enough evidence to make it a theory, I feel like. So let's just say little tidbits of ideas and thoughts on this update. So the major thing about this 2024 Halloween update is that we get our first glance at an actual book, because before we just seen the audiobooks and the covers for those audiobooks. But this one we actually get to see the characters, and the art is amazing. I love it. I want to eat the art. It's so good. It looks yummy. So in this book, a quick summary basically is Sally wants to put on a play of The Tall Tale Heart, which is a story by Edgar Allan Poe, and Poppy is scared and doesn't want to be the play, so Sally's like, oh, Sally and the rest of the neighbors are like, oh, we don't want you to be scared, so let's just break up your window. I guess they're going the Thomas the Tank Engine route, and like what they do with Henry. Game theory is Poppy, secretly Henry. Jokes aside. So they break Poppy up, and they proceed to just put on the play, and Home takes place of what role Poppy was originally gonna be in the play, and the story ends. But wait, there's more. So if you go over to the Prying Away from Eyes website, you get to see another recording of the audiobook where the first half is the same, but once we get to the point where everyone leaves Poppy in her barn, we actually stay with Poppy and we get to hear what she's going through. And during that, she's in the dark. I think, if I remember correctly, I don't have the website up and the website's down currently, so sadly I can't look at it. But from what I remember, she has a lantern and she lights it up, and while she's trying to like calm herself down, we hear a bunch of rustling, bumping, clitter clatter, and we hear Poppy in fear saying, open the door, just come in. And it ends with the rest of the neighbors coming in being like, oh hey, what's the matter? The door was unlocked. You could have opened it. Why didn't you open it? And that's where it ends. This update, compared to the other updates to me, is more intriguing. I don't know if it's just because we get to see more Poppy, and the fact that it's just really strange to me, because it confused me more than any of the other updates have, and that's in a good way. There's so much to think about what is happening here, what is happening with Poppy that no one else is seeing, you know? This is more of just a me perspective on this, I think. But when Poppy first starts hearing the noises, it kind of she's reacting as if this has happened before. I could be completely wrong. This is just me assuming things, but it does feel like this is a recurring theme for her, and that to me is could be a possibility of this is like a recurring thing for her. Because, like, with Sally in the previous Halloween update, before this one, we get to see Sally tell a story about, oh, hey, at night she hears guttural sounds outside her window, and that's why she stays inside at night. Could this be like a very similar situation where like Sally, Poppy is hearing these noises when she's alone? To me, I feel that the Tall Tale Heart is very important to this update, because yes, Sally is putting on a play called The Tall Tale Heart, but I feel like it correlates to what's probably happening in the story, and there's a few things that come into my mind of what could be a possibility of what's happening here. So let's just dive into a quick summary of Tall Tale Heart, and just after that I'll dissect both stories and give you some ideas of what could be happening here. Also, am I saying Tall Tale Heart right? Is it Tall Tale Heart? Is that the story name? If it's wrong, I'm gonna cry. I've read this story multiple times since this update. I should know at this point. Oh my gosh, I've been saying it wrong. I've been saying the Tall Tale Heart. I got the tail tale. How do, how do you say this? The tail telltale heart. How do you say it? It's like a freaking tongue twister. It's the most basic words in English. I am so sorry for y'all. You're probably in the comments being like, you're saying the name wrong. I know now. But you have to bear with it. Too bad. A little mistake. Yeah, freaking Tom in the newest compilation video of Welcome Home called him Howard. Why?
Sally, Howard, and Barnaby will.
So I get to say the name of Tall Tale Heart wrong. I said it wrong again! The Tall Tale Heart is a story about a narrator retelling of how they killed this man. And in the retelling, we learn that the reason why this person killed this old man is because they were a caregiver for this old man, and the old man had this glass eye that just brought so much fear into this person, into this narrator, that the only solution for them not seeing this dreadful glass fake eye on this old man is to kill him. And the narrator cuts him up, puts him underneath the floorboards, and eventually, at one point, the police come because the neighbors heard screaming and are like, hey, I'm concerned, can you please check up on my neighbor? And the police come in, they don't suspect anything from the narrator until the narrator starts having hallucinations of the heartbeat of the old man, and they end up confessing to the police. I can't pronounce words for the life of me. They confess to the police, and that's how the story ends for Edgar Allan Poe's story. When I reread The Tall Tale Heart, I read it multiple times over and over and thought about it for basically 3 months at this point, and just more and more stuff clicked for any of these ideas that I'm going to tell you today. And yeah, let me just tell you instead of just blabbering. So the first one is basically Poppy is in the same role as the narrator is in The Tall Tale Heart. And my reasoning for that is because we know Poppy as the skittish, anxious bird that she is. She's always in her barn. She's always making sure everyone's safe, and yeah, she just gets scared a lot. Even in the story, the reason why she's in her barn is because the other characters are like, no, you stay in your barn. We know you're gonna get scared. So when reading The Tall Tale Heart, I saw so many moments that reminded me of Poppy. True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been, and am. That's the very beginning of the Telltale Heart. We are told by the narrator that they were scared and are scared. This person is not like the madman that some people kind of depict when they do plays or do audiobooks of this, which, yes, I understand, like, oh yeah, this person is messed up in the head, and that is very clear throughout the story, but, and the character says, oh, you see, like, why do you call me mad? A bunch of times. And it's in the sense that the person isn't angry, or they're not doing this for vengeance, and they're not doing this out of anger. They're doing this out of fear. And it's not just the beginning of the story that shows us that this person is a nervous person. We also get to hear the reasoning why they didn't like this old man, in the sense of why he was killed. They go on to talk about how anytime the eye looked their way, that their blood ran cold. So they felt they were so scared to the point where they were like frozen in fear. And another point in the story, the narrator goes on talking about how every night for at least a week, they tried to go in very quietly and try to get a chance to murder the man. But all 7 nights that they tried just didn't work out. And on the 8th night, when they're in the bedroom again, the old man hears the creaking of the lantern that the narrator is holding, and the old man is very scared because he's like, who the hell is in my room right now in the middle of the night? And during this moment of the old man sitting up in his bed in fear, the narrator goes on about how they understand the old man, they've been in his shoes, and implying that this person, again, was fearful, probably because of the old man. And this could be something that's happening with Poppy, in the sense that Poppy did something that she regrets, and she did it out of fear. That could also be a possibility of why Poppy is nervous in the first place, because she's never seen out of her barn. She takes precautions very seriously, like having Frank have like 2 oven mitts on instead of 1 pair.
Frank, oh, be careful. I wouldn't want you to burn yourself.
I'm all right. You've taken all the necessary precautions to ensure my safety. Oven mitts, aprons, a second pair of oven mitts.
Perhaps we could use a 3rd pair of oven mitts.
Poppy.
You're working with such dangerous appliances.
And constantly trying to keep things very, like, child-proof, kind of. I don't know how else to explain it. But she is very, very cautious bird. And that could be like a sense of, oh, she hurt someone in the past, and that's why she makes sure that everyone around her is safe, and she doesn't want to leave her house because it could be unsafe for her. That could be a possibility, and that's like one of the ideas that first popped into my head when I first saw this update. Now these other possibilities I'm going over are more just grasping at things that are barely there, but still interesting things to think about. And one of the things was that Sally could be the role of what the narrator is in the Telltale Heart. This is me struggling to say words. But my reasoning for this one is that in Edgar Allan Poe's story, the narrator hides away this old man so no one gets to see him again, and no one knows he's there until the narrator confesses. And in the Halloween story, Sally goes through with the plan of breaking up Sally so no one can hear her. In the book, it says not a peep was heard from Poppy, so that's a possibility where Sally is the narrator and Poppy is the old man. Which again, not a lot of stuff backing that up. Just a little food for thought, I guess. Is that the saying? I don't know sayings. Another possibility is Barnaby being the narrator, which makes no sense from what I said earlier about the character being nervous and anxious and doing it out of fear when it comes to the murder, when it comes to the Edgar Allan Poe story. But Barnaby did have the idea of breaking up Sally, and that could be a possibility. That's kind of like that's even more just out of nowhere idea. Now, this part of the video is less about my Edgar Allan Poe theory or correlation analysis thing, whatever you want to call it. But another, this is more just like tidbits of what's going, like, of things that are just curious to me about this update, is that during the time where Poppy is hearing all the banging and doorknob turning in her house, I am curious, like, what was that? Because Home was in the play. He was a role in the play, taking place what Poppy was gonna do. So, if Home is in the play, who's banging on the doors? And that could correlate to my theory of Poppy's having hallucinations and it's not actually any, like, it's not actually Home. But it could also be Home, because, like, it could be, like, the oozy stuff that's doing it, and not necessarily Home the body, or, because, like, the black ooze stuff, to me, feels like a Venom type thing, where it's, like, the Venom is looking for a host, and the host is a house. I don't know. And another interesting thing is just the ending bit, where when Frank and the other neighbors come in to check on Poppy after the play, or right after the play, he opens the door and he's like, kind of like, already concerned for Poppy, being like, hey, I, like, kind of like, yeah, you're shouting to open the door, but the door was unlocked. But right before that, the door wasn't opening to whoever was trying to get into the house. Which is another thing. It could have been a vampire. There might be a vampire lurking in the Welcome Home. I don't freaking know. But that's another interesting thing that kind of piqued my interest of what is trying to get, like, why can't whatever is trying to get in, but the others can? Or the sense that maybe the door wouldn't open was because could have been like a symbolic thing of, like, oh, Poppy could have gotten out of that dangerous situation if she wanted to, but she chose not to, kind of. Because Frank does say, why didn't you open the door? And that could have been a possibility. I don't know. I'm gonna wrap this up now before I continue blabbering and just drawing out stuff, because again, I'm not using a script. But thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing me blabber about Welcome Home. I love Welcome Home so much. See you later. Mwah. Mwah.